So, you're a great engineer. You solve tough technical problems, that's what you do. But what if I told you that very skill, the one that got you here, could actually be holding you back? In this explainer, we're going to rewire your thinking, shifting you from a task-focused engineer to a decision-focused manager. Honestly, it's the single most important shift you can make for your career. We've all seen this movie before, right? A project is staffed with absolutely brilliant engineers, the best of the best, and yet it still somehow spirals into chaos. It's a frustratingly common story. So why does a team with all the right technical skills still fail? Well, the reason usually has nothing to do with engineering and everything to do with a fundamental misunderstanding of the game being played. And here it is. This is the core conflict. On-site, the pressure is always to execute immediately. Get it done now. Decisions get postponed, and documentation, well, that's something you worry about later, if at all. But project management principles tell us this is a recipe for disaster. The simple truth is, most project failures are managerial, not technical. Success starts with managing before you even think about executing. Okay, so how do we fix this? It starts by redefining the game itself. You see, to manage a project successfully, we first need to agree on a really basic question. What exactly is a project? The answer might surprise you. Now, I know this is the official definition and it sounds a little academic, so let's break it down for the real world. Temporary doesn't mean short, it just means it has a definite end. Unique means it's not a routine, repeatable task. And this is the most critical part. A measurable objective means you have a clear, undeniable definition of what done looks like. If you can't prove you finished, it's not really a project. This slide shows the difference perfectly. Installing a brand new fire system is a project. It's a one-time thing with a clear start and end. But the annual maintenance on that same system, that's an operation. It's ongoing, it's repetitive. And the biggest mistake an engineer can make is to manage a unique, high-stakes project with the exact same mindset they'd use for a routine operation. All right, here's a classic interview question that stumps a lot of really smart engineers. If a project takes 4 years to complete, say, building a new hospital, does it lose its temporary status? It's a bit of a trick question, but your answer reveals whether you think like an engineer or a manager. The answer is yes, it's absolutely still temporary. And here's why. The duration is completely irrelevant. Temporary simply means the project isn't endless. That 4-year hospital project has a defined start when you break ground and a defined end when you hand over the keys. That's what makes it a project, whether it takes 4 weeks or 4 years. So, we've figured out what a project is. Now let's pinpoint a manager's first real decision. And I'm not talking about when the first truck arrives on site. This is about understanding the project's official start. On site, it feels like the project starts when the contract is signed or the materials arrive. That's when things get real, right? But from a project management perspective, if you're waiting for those moments to kick things off, you're already behind. You're too late. The project truly begins with the project charter. Now, don't get hung up on the formal name. This is the foundational document, even if it's just a detailed email that officially gives you authority. It defines your boundaries, it clarifies the real objectives, and it sets the criteria for success. Without a charter, you're not managing a project. You're just executing tasks without a real man. I want you to burn this quote into your memory. The project charter isn't just paperwork, it's your shield. When a client tries to add scope or a senior manager questions your decision, this document is your defense. It protects you, the manager, from the ambiguity that kills projects and careers. It's what gives you the authority to say no. Okay, so we've defined the project and we've officially started it with the charter. The next big question is, how do we know if we're winning? The engineer's old scorecard of job done just isn't enough anymore. You need a new one. The on-site view of success is pretty simple. Is the job finished? But a project manager is playing a different game. Success isn't just about completion. It's about delivering value within constraints. I mean, think about it. A technically perfect installation that's late, over budget, and fails a regulatory inspection isn't a success. It's a failure, plain and simple. And speaking of regulatory bodies, that brings us to a hidden force that really defines project success: stakeholders. These are all the people and groups who have a vested interest in your project: the clients, the consultants, the regulators, even your suppliers. And let me tell you, the biggest mistake a new manager makes is underestimating their power. A single unhappy stakeholder can stop your project dead in its tracks. This is where a manager earns their salary. You don't treat every stakeholder equally. You analyze them. Just look at this matrix. The client has high power and high interest. So, your strategy? You manage them closely. Daily updates, constant communication. The consultant? High interest, but maybe medium power. Your strategy there is to keep them satisfied and informed. The supplier, on the other hand, has low power and influence. So you monitor them, but you don't waste your best resources on them. This simple analysis is how you proactively manage your most valuable asset, your time. So let's synthesize all of this. We've talked about definitions and tools and documents, but it all comes down to a fundamental mindset shift. This is about how a project manager thinks and acts every single day. This slide right here cuts to the absolute heart of the matter. An engineer's focus is on solving the technical problem, but a project manager's focus is on the impact of that solution. They ask totally different questions. How does this affect our budget and schedule? Who needs to approve this? And should we stop work until we get this decision documented? This is the exact shift in thinking that interviewers are looking for. Let's be blunt. The get-it-done habits that make you a hero on site are the very things that will fail you on the PMP exam. Jumping into execution before the planning is complete? Wrong. Ignoring a difficult stakeholder? Wrong. Implementing a quick tech fix without analyzing the impact? Wrong. These aren't just bad practices. They show a fundamental misunderstanding of what a manager's role really is. I'll leave you with this final thought as a personal test. In any situation, ask yourself, can I clearly explain why we need to wait, why we need to document this, or why I have to say no right now? If you can't, you're still thinking like an engineer executing a task. The moment you can answer those questions with confidence, that's when you'll be managing the project. And that is the key to your success.